The greenery now.
Giant cobble here. So that one's going down. That one's going that's good. That's good. Which bit we're looking at?
Straight through there, the roundy bit.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's the symmetrical. The that bit goes up, this bit comes down. And the gear stays put way going round it. There's the middle.
It's got fishing rods.
Fishing rods, yeah. Not using any fish in this bit. Traffic light at there.
There's one at the bottom, I think. I didn't see it go green, but
like this. What else
Quite unique, this thing. Quite unique, Johnny. I've had it a long time now. Look at this. Going to that. Wow.
Go higher as that?
Really high.
We're taller than a giant.
Alright.
The door too?
The other boat's going first. Florence.
half an hour or so, we'll be up here, 27 metres above our starting point on the Forth and Clyde Canal. We're now moving at 4 miles an hour over the reinforced concrete aqueduct. There's just over 100 metres between here and the tunnel, dead ahead of us. We'll go right through that and turn around before heading back and taking a look at the view that's right behind you now. You might have noticed that there are 2 tourist boats in service at the Falkirk Wheel, each with slightly strange names. Archimedes and Antonine. Did you see which one you are on today when you got on? Those special names were chosen for a reason. They're both important parts of the wheel's identity. Archimedes' principle says that when an object is placed in water, for example the boat you are sitting in now, it displaces its exact own weight in water. The amount of water that moves out of the way to make room for us is equal in weight to the boat itself. That might sound quite simple, but it's actually really important for the smooth operation of the Falkirk Wheel. Each gondola, that's the big tub of water we just travelled up in, holds 250 tonnes of water. When our boat sailed in, we pushed about 60 tonnes of water. That is the weight of the boat and its fuel and all the people in it, out meaning that the gondola then had 190 tonnes of water and 60 tonnes of boat in it. So, the contents of the gondola still weigh 250 tonnes. The clever part is that the other gondola will also weigh exactly 250 tonnes as well. We are evenly balanced with them, and that means that it only takes a tiny bit of energy to get us moving around the central core of the wheel. We're balancing each other out. So while you might think it would take a lot of energy to lift 250 tonnes of steel, water, boat and even you up the 27 metres we just came, it actually took just a small push. About the same amount of energy as boiling 8 electric kettles. That's enough for a cup of tea each. The canal system stretching across Scotland is home to over 30 varieties of aquatic plants, 15 species of mollusks, over 30 types of water flea, and even freshwater sponges. Plus the ducks and swans. It's been known for fish to swim into the gondola at the bottom and travel up to the Union Canal with us. Of course, they displace their own weight too. And there are footpaths here as well, leading up into the woods. You can walk along these later if you like. On the right side of the boat, as we enter the tunnel, you'll see a sign reading Rough Castle Tunnel. What castle? You can't see a castle near here. That's because we're about to travel underneath it. And followed the route originally surveyed by John Smeaton. It opened in 1790 and quickly became one of the most important trading and transport links across Scotland. It was the world's first sea-to-sea ship canal, joining the River Clyde and Glasgow in the west to the River Forth and the North Sea in the east. And the addition of the Union Canal, that's the one we're sailing on now, in 1822 meant Glasgow and Edinburgh were linked by waterways. This all meant that unprecedented amounts of trade were now possible, not only between Glasgow and Edinburgh, but also with the rest of Northern Europe and the world. In the 1830s, 200,000 people each year travelled between the two cities. One operator offered
The express service in just 7 hours on swift passenger boats.
There was, apparently, a sign projecting from the front of the boat that would cut through the toll roads of any slow-moving vessels that refused to give way. Getting between the two canals still required the use of a lock system though. A few kilometres to the east of here, there was a flight of 11 canal locks with a fall of just over 3 metres each. Each had to fill with water in turn to raise traffic up to the Union Canal so it could travel on to Edinburgh. For a time, this was the golden age of the canal, and water... Emerge out of the tunnel, you'll notice that we're in a much different landscape now. More intimate, and certainly not quite such grand views as on the other side. When we turned around and gone back through the tunnel, you'll appreciate the views from there, looking out over central Scotland from a scenic vantage point. But for a moment, enjoy the canal side setting. The land around here is stunning and ready for exploration, if you're so inclined. From the visitor centre, there are 3 walks of different lengths exploring this area, including the remains of the Roman fort and the Antonine Wall. Ask for a map in the visitor centre, or you can hire bikes and make your way 6 kilometres east along the canal path to see the Kelpies. 2 majestic 30-metre high sculptures of horse heads rising out of the water. These Celtic water horses are not only a link with the mystical mythology of Scotland, but are also a reminder of the vast numbers of horses who worked on the canals pulling barges for years on end. Today we run our boats on diesel. Compared to days gone by, it means there's no horse waves left by the side of the canal towpath anymore. And we can now travel faster, and in almost all weathers too. You'll notice 2 more locks here. These take boats to the main level of the Union Canal, another 7 metres up, making the total height above our starting point 35 metres.
2 locks.
This then runs as far as Edinburgh, which, if you were to sail there today, would take about 9 or 10 hours. But most people on a pleasure cruise do it over a couple of days. In fact, these locks were installed as part of the renovations to the canal system and the installation of the Falkirk Wheel. The original Union Canal ended some 2 kilometres further on from here, where the flight of 11 locks carried canal traffic up and down between here and the Forth and Clyde Canal below. And from that level, 2 locks up from here, the Union Canal stretches all the way to Edinburgh without a single lock. It's a feat of engineering and construction, laid out by the canal's designer Hugh Beer in the 1820s. Despite the canal from Falkirk to Edinburgh being over 50 kilometres long, there is a fault of just 2.5 centimetres between either end, all designed and a computer. It's important to remember that we're on part of a canal network that stretches right across Scotland. A little tricky at first, though you'll soon get the hang of it. But a canal boat holiday can also be very relaxing. The gentle pace of the boats means you can switch off from the pressures of modern life and slow right down. The body that cares for these waterways is called Scottish Canals, an agency of the Scottish Government. Any profit we make from activities on the canals, we put right back into caring for the system. It's our aim to make sure the canals are still here and being enjoyed by people in another 200 years. be built in the world, bringing the story of Scottish invention, adventure and world first right up to date. The sense of ambition and pride felt by the design team matches that of those engineers and canal builders a few centuries ago. While many see the wheel as a beautiful thing, it's often questioned whether its merits are as a piece of art or as a piece of engineering. Tony Kettle's design of the Falkirk wheel perhaps puts it best.
We came up with a practical, physical solution to the problem of how to link the two canals together. But we were driven by both the practical and the aesthetic. We wanted to create something sculptural that would give a sense of movement and rotation. Our wheel has some of the enduring qualities of a timepiece, precision engineering and intrinsic beauty, metal curves and movement in one composition.
Wonder why we went to the trouble of creating the Falkirk wheel. You'll remember that the two canals had fallen into a state of disrepair in the late 20th century, and they weren't used for transporting goods or people anymore. It might have been easier just to fill the canals in and forget about them altogether. But then, in the late 90s, it gives us a chance to celebrate Scottish design and ingenuity once again. Okay, as we're coming towards the end of our time on this level, I just have time to share some of the facts and figures of the Falkirk wheel. It was opened in May 2002 by Her Majesty the Queen, although she never actually rode it like you have today. There are 15,000 bolts in the structure, pressed into 45,000 bolt holes, and each one was tightened by hand. The two gondolas between them hold 1 million litres of water and can lift the weight of 100 elephants. And it does all that in just 5 minutes, using the power of a few electric kettles. Amazing, isn't it?
Cool.
If you were thinking of getting one for yourself, do be aware that the price tag comes at a whopping £20 million. We're heading back into the gondola now, so that we can rotate back down to the lower level, 25 metres below. This is a great place to take in the view if the Scottish weather has been kind to us today. You should be able to read in this unique part of the Scottish landscape. Perhaps we should leave the last word for the time being to the wheel's designer, Tony Kettle.
The Falkirk wheel appears to lift its head and take stock of its Scottish surroundings. It stands up proud and bold, emerging from the land as the skeletal frame of a long-lost prehistoric animal. It sits on a spine that connects the east and west coast of Scotland and says, "Scotland is whole once more." The wheel reverberates with the strength and passion, the vision and the imagination that have underpinned the very best of Scottish culture since the 1700s. And, more importantly, it stands as one monument, celebrating
to stop before
what may be possible in the future.
We don't want to go far enough here. We don't want to go far enough here. Yeah, Florence.
Shockingly for Scotland, it doesn't cost anything. As such, if you have your own boat, you must have an inland waterways licence, basically like your car tax. And once you've got that,